Can somebody tell me what just happened? Woo! Woo! Ah! Hi, adventurers. Oh my gosh. I kind of can't believe what I'm holding in my hands right now. I'm also incredibly exhausted. It's taken me a couple of days to get this video up, and I am going to be posting another one really soon with lots of race footage, so make sure you hit subscribe because you're going to be seeing all of the beautiful views that I got while running 100 miles. I also met so many amazing people out on the trail, and if I met you out there, hopefully you'll see yourself in my video when I post that, hopefully next week. Okay, deep breaths. Wow, that was intense. That was a really, really crazy, wild ride. I just want to give a little bit of recap while it's still fresh in my mind and talk to you about my race experience. I was incredibly nervous the week leading up. I think I was doing a good job of telling myself that I was fine and that I wasn't stressing, and then I think I would stress myself out a little bit more. And I felt like I didn't know what it was gonna be like when I got out there. I didn't know what it was going to be like when it was over. I don't know, I was just ready. I was ready for it to happen. I was really lucky that I had so many people around me that are experienced ultra runners and just great friends and family that can support me and tell me it's going to be okay. So that when I got to the starting line, I was just really, really excited. I knew that everything was taken care of and it was just time to run. So the gun went off. I had just met some new friends and we started running too fast. Rookie mistake, right? Well, later I'm going to come back with a video of the 10 best things I learned from the trail, but right now this is just my recap of the actual race experience. So I was told by everybody to go slow at the start. Everybody knows this. We're ultra runners. We know this from, marathon days, or if you skipped that distance. You still know you're supposed to go slow in the beginning. And I'm fine with that. But it's so hard. You're having such a good time. I did manage to slow myself down. My new friend Pedro was slowing himself down. So I was able to hold back with him. And he's run like 10 ultra marathons, 11, I'm sorry if I'm getting that wrong, 10 or 11 100 milers. And so I kind of trusted his pace. Even parts that felt runnable, I just wanted to remain back. And I met so many really, really great people in those first 50 miles. The last 50 miles, I was really just looking at my feet and going forward. But it was great to hear everybody's stories. I feel like I'm really energized by the people around me. And so those first 26 miles flew by. It didn't feel hard. You could feel it, but it felt like just a great day to be hanging out with new people. I met people from the UK. I met people that I had shouted out in my video about the getting on the signing into the race. Evelyn, and I met Paul was from the UK, and I met Josh, who had an amazing fast walking pace. And oh my gosh, you guys with those poles, I don't even know what that was, but I was probably pretty frustrated watching everybody just like zoom past me with the poles. You have to let me know what your secrets are. I met Alex and Matt and learned all of these stories about people and what brought them to this ultra trail. I mean, you guys were incredible, and I really want to say thank you for sharing your stories with me. I just had a great time. Okay, so the first marathon, wasps, yellow jackets, the yellow jackets. What the heck? That's not not the kind of pain that we were expecting getting on the trail. But we're running and we see people all of a sudden just like flailing their arms in the sky, screaming, saying bees, bees, and running. And like an idiot, I was like, I'm not afraid of bees. It's probably fine. Nope, got stung. Hurt so bad. Definitely like, whoa, where is it? Oh, there it is. Swelling up, super red, and got my back. But that is nothing to complain about because some people got stung like 14 times. This is not the pain we signed up for. Anyways, we just kept running. It was quite an adventure. We got into the first marathon, felt really chill. I changed my shoes, kept going. I'm pretty sure I blacked out from mile 26 to 30. I do not remember those miles. I do remember those miles. They were the easiest thing in the world. All of a sudden, it was just done. We were at aid station 30. I couldn't believe it. That was a cool aid station. Got in, got out, kept going on down the trail. Probably around mile 35, I started to hit a pretty low point. I just was getting in my head, and all of the techniques I was using about mindfulness and positivity and being grateful for being out there was starting not to work. And then I ate, and then I felt better. And Pedro also ate, and then we felt better, and it was fine. And we kept going. Then it started to get dark, and probably at about mile 45, we thought it's probably time for some Coke. So we drank some Coke. Give you that sugar boost. And that's when the chest pain started. So I had my worst miles from 45 to 55. I couldn't breathe. I just had this tightness in my chest and I couldn't get air. It hurt to breathe. It hurt to run. It just hurt. I also had my giant rain jacket in my backpack, which was just weighing on my neck and killing me. It was slow. It was really slow, and it had gotten dark. And every mile felt like 10 miles. When I had done the breakdown in my head of like, I can do 50K, no problem, that's 30 miles, and then 20 miles is easy and it'll be fine, and 10 miles is no problem, like we eat 10 miles for breakfast, and 3 miles is my easiest distance, that's nothing. Well, 3 miles on an ultra is not 3 miles, it's not 30 minutes or whatever, it's a long time. Those were some slow miles, and the aid stations were really spaced out, in my opinion, and it was pretty rough getting into Clackamas that first time. I went and I just had to lay down. I had to be horizontal. Not like in a bed. I didn't want to lay in a bed or warming tent, but I just laid on the floor, and that took some of the pressure off of my breathing. So we tried to troubleshoot what that was. And we thought maybe my pack was too tight, although I've never had an issue with my pack and I've kept it loose. Maybe it was too heavy. Somebody else told me that they get bruising in their chest from their pack. So I took it off and just ran with the water bottle, loaded up on snacks, got my first pacer, and we ran. Now, I was not expecting to be fighting the cutoff time at all for this race. And yet, when we got into Clackamas, Pedro gave me the very nice, courteous warning that we're only an hour and a half ahead of the cutoff. Not like right then, because we still had a long time to go, but that at the pace we were at, that's what we had. And I did not want to be close to the cutoff. And that whole next 15 miles around Timothy Lake, I pushed really hard to make up some time and to not be close to missing the cutoff. And it was so hard. The running was great. It was pretty easy around the lake. It's pretty flat, and my pacer was amazing. This was her first time pacing, and it was so much fun to kind of see the trail through her fresh eyes and her new experience. but also all I could do was say, like groaning through. So we ran all the way to Timothy Lake Dam, which was really cool. There were tons of lights and you could see the moon. And we got into Timothy Lake Dam. They had little beer pong shots. Not that I took any of those because my chest was still hurting. I hated eating, but she just kept shoving food at me. She kept also looking at her watch, which freaked me out because it made me think that she was trying to keep us moving so that we didn't miss the cutoff time. But, you know, it worked. Something worked, so we just kept going. Got back into Clackamas the second time, and right before getting into Clackamas, dry heaved like 5 really big wretches. It was gross. And I felt totally better. The chest pain was gone. So got into Clackamas and got my other pacer, my superstar, and we left for the last 30 miles. It was surreal to be in the quiet of the night. And she had given me a heads up before about getting through the night and taking it in and just soaking up the quiet and looking up at the stars and taking a minute to appreciate where we were at. I don't think I remember much about specific parts of that. I remember feeling like, I remember my knee hurt really bad. My knee was killing me and I was running funny because I couldn't run properly because my knee was hurting. It was my IT band is all tight and messed up. But she pushed me all the right amounts, telling me, you know, let's try this section, let's try that section, let's just shuffle a little bit. I perfected my mall walking grandma, you know, where you're like power walking and you're swinging your arms. That was my move, getting through those next 20 miles. We got into some more aid stations, drank some veggie broth. I was wearing my buff across my face and probably freaking everybody out, but it was because of the cold air. When I didn't have it on, I was getting the chest pain again. So that's in case you saw me out there and I was all looking like I was ready to kill someone. I was not. I was still having a good time. To be totally honest, I felt pretty good as far as having run 60 miles, 70 miles, you know, as good as you can feel. Yes, I was in pain. Yes, there were rocks in my shoes and blisters on my feet and but I wasn't having any stomach problems. I knew I could keep going. I was worried about the cutoff, but I was pushing. We just kept running and it started to get lighter. It started to get lighter as we were coming up through the trees and you could see little peaks of the sun and it started to warm up. And then we started to pass some people and I thought, these people know what they're doing and if I can just stay with them, they're gonna be ahead of the cutoff, so I'll be okay. So we just power walked when we could, 80s mall walking grandma, going to Nordstrom, going to Macy's, going to the next aid station. And we just kept going. And probably one of the biggest things that I was thinking as I was running the last 60 miles, you know, I practiced mindfulness for the first 40, focused on my breathing, focused on being grateful. The next 60, you know that meme with the dog and the house is on fire and he's sitting there going, this is fine. That was pretty much the only thought in my head. My knee's hurting. This is fine. I can't breathe. This is fine. I can't breathe because it's cold. This is fine. I don't want to eat anything. This is fine. I feel like I need to throw up. This is fine. This is fine. All of it. Anytime something felt horribly wrong, I just thought, this is fine. And it was. So we just kept going. And eventually, it was the last 2 aid stations. We got to the second to last aid station and I drank another sip of Coke. Instantly got the pain in my chest again. But this time I knew how to take care of it and I'll save you the details. So we're trudging along the trail still forcefully shoving food down my mouth and just moving. And finally we get to the last aid station, which meant there was 4 miles to go. And let me tell you, it was really hard to feel like you could still go 4 miles. Even though I still had energy in me, it was that mind trick of like, I'm almost to the end. So for me to help myself, I just kept thinking, it's not 4 miles. There's another aid station after that. I didn't tell myself we were running to the finish. I told myself we were running to the aid station before the finish. And then Pedro caught up out of nowhere. We had lost him at mile 55, and then he just sprinted up to us. And that was amazing. That gave me all the energy I needed to kind of boost and keep going for the last 2 miles. So me, Brianna, and Pedro, we were just running-ish and going along. And then suddenly, Bree says, we're there. Oh, I missed the part about hallucinating buildings in the trees. Yes, there were some hallucinations. I think I was just so desperate to see an aid station. But so we get out, and she says, we're there. And we run around the corner and get to the road, and I break into a sprint. And I could not believe that I had enough energy to sprint and that it didn't feel bad. And I just ran for it and ran across that finish line and crossed the finish line and said, wait, what happened? I literally had no idea what was happening. It's such a 28 hours and 14 minutes. And it felt like that when I was out there. And then I was done and it felt like it was an instant. Man, I loved it. And I loved meeting everybody, and I loved every second of pain. The wasps, the food, the conversations, the views, which I didn't get to see because it was so socked in everywhere I was running. But it didn't matter. And as I was running it, I was thinking to myself, I hate you because you're going to want to do another one of these. And I do. It's amazing how fast our brains forget pain, isn't it? I mean, I'm still limping around, and yet I'm dreaming about the next one. Don't tell my friends. So, that was my race. I crossed the finish line, somebody tapped me on the back of the shoulder, Renee, and gave me this. And I'm pretty happy about it. I would love to hear your guys' race recaps, the best experiences you had out on the trail. If there's anyone whose name I forgot to mention, I'm sorry, but I loved running with all of you guys. And thank you for making it so special. I hope to see you at the next one.